Hello everyone, I'm Carthu and welcome back to the dojo. Today, I wanted to discuss episode 130 of Dragon Ball Super, and how it can be used to display what makes a great fight. Now, I'm not saying this fight was perfect or the best executed that I've ever seen, however, it displays at a good level a lot of the core elements required to make an engaging and entertaining shonen battle. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. Before the fight begins, Goku is standing above Jiren on an elevated piece of the broken battlefield. This framing signifies how Goku has ascended and is now above the likes of Jiren. Framing like this insinuates power, a power much greater than anything that has been displayed so far. This was used with Merge Zamasu when he first appeared. When the fight actually begins, the skillfulness of Ultra Instinct is on full display. When partnered with the loose animation style of Naoki Tate, the seamless transitions between blocking, attacking, and dodging comes off as fluid, masterful, and more importantly, realistic. Naoki Tate is probably the only animator I'll mention for the first half of the fight, but just know other animators accomplish the same sort of fluid movement, and possibly to a more on-model degree. Naoki Tate just does it a bit more off-model, but gets the looseness down beautifully. This part may not sound like it's of much importance to fights outside of this one, but it is. You see, making a character move or react in a certain way can help shape our perception of them. Usually this is reserved for character acting, which is used to express the emotions of the character on screen. However, in a fight scene, body movements can be used to express the technique and prowess of a character. It can really display the gap between two characters, or the lack of one. Honestly, it's something that's missed in a lot of anime, but when I watch someone who is the underdog fight, I want to see him have less sharp responses to the onslaught of his opponent. Hunter x Hunter and Hajime no Ippo are two series that get this concept done very well, and I highly recommend both of them. But back to Dragon Ball, after Goku delivers the pummeling we wanted Jiren to get, Jiren has a flashback to the past he lived through and is getting a sort of PTSD from the fight at hand. The real interesting part here is that we aren't pulled out of the present to do it. Jiren speaks as his past is reflecting off of his eye. This is a great way to keep us engaged with the fight and in a state of anticipation, because the action could start again at any moment with no necessary transition, while also allowing us to get the necessary depth out of the character in question. This is not me saying Jiren's backstory is the best thing ever or even good. I'm simply saying that this method for a flashback is the right one to use in a fight. This technique is not limited to the eye, of course, as any reflective surface will do the job, so long as it's in the same scene as the fight. Other options could be mirrors, windows, water, etc. Keeping your viewer engaged with the fight is a crucial component of a good fight scene. While I think that Master Roshi's reflective glasses are a less engaged way of doing this, I'd actually blame the location of the fight for that and not the director, because at least it's in the present and not taking us out of the current situation. Another great example of this engaged direction is the slideshow of Goku's past encounters. It's portrayed behind a very well choreographed fight between the red silhouetted Jiren and the blue silhouetted Goku. It keeps us engaged while adding depth, and this shows another crucial point as well, one Super has been repeatedly criticized for in this tournament: cutting away to dialogue mid-fight. It's not non-existent in this episode, and I don't think that it should be. Instead, a nice mix of cutting to relevant dialogue at pauses in the calmer sections of the fight is fine, but using vocal overlay onto the action taking place is the best of all. Keep us engaged while also presenting the information that's pertinent to the fight. Back on track with this fight's timeline, Jiren has just been reminded of the feeling of helplessness that he had against the evildoer that killed his parents and his teacher. This causes him to break through his own limits and get even more powerful. This really works well, and I mean really well, with the idea that Jiren perceives strength as being above all else, and the past they've established that he has. It feels like something a real trauma victim would have happened to them if put into an environment where the surrounding stimuli created a sense of imminent threat in the same way. You hear of people getting situationally strong all the time in real life, so this is actually a real person trait and not just a character one. The best part is that Jiren isn't the only one to experience this. After he dismantles Goku, Jiren doesn't understand how Goku keeps getting up, but Goku confidently states that's because his friends have faith in him. The well-directed cutaways and flashbacks that I mentioned earlier help to explain it all. Goku is built upon a foundation of trust others have in him. Without meeting his friends, the level of strength he could have obtained naturally is not even close to what he has now. Goku has broken his limits, surpassed the gods, and needs to repay the trust his friends have in him. So Goku stands up one more time. Goku is stronger and faster than ever. He is fighting with the power of his trust, the power of Team Universe 7. Narratively, there is an interesting conflict in Jiren's personality drawn on by his refusal to accept Goku's ideology as true, despite not outright saying it isn't. This causes him to second-guess himself and take an action that he most likely wouldn't have done normally, and that is attempting to murder Team Universe 7 in the bleachers. This topic deserves a whole separate video, so we won't dive any deeper into these characters and their motivations in this video. But this does illustrate something important a fight should do, and that is tell a story. The fight that has something on the line beyond destruction, or a wish, or some treasure, is one that really makes the impact of the fists feel weighty and powerful. Each successful punch is proof of one's own ideology and diminishes the others. You see, a fight should not just be a flurry of attacks, but rather a story contained in the attacks between two people. Again, great shows that consistently have this feature are Hunter x Hunter and Hajime no Ippo, and even the last fight in Naruto executes this extremely well. However, the most notable example of this in my opinion is the Stain fight in My Hero Academia. Again, all of these series have some great benefits to watching them, and they all derive their original idea off of Dragon Ball. If you love Dragon Ball, check out these shows. I'll be covering them more in the future. This fight is the best animated episode of Dragon Ball as a franchise, and really showcases what a fight should be. I know I didn't touch on this directly, but of course, Naotoshi Shida's cut in this episode was spectacular. The issue is, I'm making a video on both Goku and Jiren in the near future, and his cut is actually very much tied to Goku's character and ideology in this fight. So, I will be talking about that cut in the future. Trust me, it was spectacular. Like I already said, this fight was probably the best animated feature of any Dragon Ball animated TV series. Obviously, we have cuts in movies like Path to Power that have great cuts, but this episode was overall the best animated episode of any Dragon Ball series. Keep that in mind when people tell you otherwise, because it's objectively the best. I did really like this episode. This is my little quick review before we wrap up completely. It was great, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it too, because this is the end of Dragon Ball Super, and I think this is quite a high note for this series to end on, and next week looks equally good, if not a little bit lower. So, keep that in mind. To reiterate, I'm not saying this is the best fight ever. Far from it. But this is, much like all of Dragon Ball is, a basis for what great shonen fights should be, and something other series can build upon and learn from. Anyway guys, that's just my opinion. So what do you guys think? Leave your opinions and counterpoints in the comments down below, and subscribe if you want more Dragon Ball videos. But for now, video outro!